Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. I have a take on homosexuality which is not common. I at least haven't heard this very much. Now let me first go over the two regular schools that we all know of that are dominating the topic today. View number one. Homosexuality is a choice. It is not an illness. People who choose it are guilty of choosing it. You know, this is the right Christian type view. And they blame homosexuals for choosing an unnatural way of life. They think that it must be a choice because God intended blah 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 and nature wouldn't make something, etc., etc. The second view that is very common today is that homosexuality is not a choice and therefore, or simultaneously, not an illness. People are just born that way. And there's no judgment you can make against them. That's just how they are. Now, I will just, before I go to step 3, my view, I will just mention schizophrenia and Down syndrome. Not a choice, but they are illnesses. And we don't judge people for being schizophrenic or having Down syndrome. So that is a segue to my view. What if homosexuality is like schizophrenia and Down syndrome? It is not a choice. People are born that way. Now, leaving aside the fact that there are probably 10 times as many gay people today as there would be if the culture wasn't obsessed with it and if you didn't have to be gay to keep a job. There are a lot of people out there who talk with a lisp and they wear their hair the right color and they say and do the right things because otherwise they would lose their job. Being gay today is a way to climb the corporate ladder. Now, leaving those people aside who are just gay because of the current culture, there are some people who are born gay, or at least they say so. They say they've always felt different, they always knew there was something different, and when they reached sexual maturity they finally realized, etc., etc. Why can't it be that they are born that way, but it is an abnormality? It's an illness. Now, we can't necessarily cure schizophrenics or Down syndrome, and maybe we can't cure gayness. But why can't we have an objective view of it, that it is an abnormality, and maybe it can't be helped? Maybe these people just have to live with it. Homosexuals are more likely to be depressed, they're more likely to commit suicide, and you can say, well, maybe that's just because of our culture today. Maybe if we had a more accepting culture. But right now we've got a pretty accepting culture. You actually do better getting a job and keeping a job if you're gay. If you're a straight white male, you get fired just for being straight and white. So why are they still committing suicide at a higher rate than the normal populace, even in today's pro-gay world? Well, there you have it. Pretty brief view. I think that it could be an illness that people are born with, that they may not be able to change, but that doesn't mean it's not an illness just because you're born with it, like schizophrenia and Down syndrome. Now, is it unnatural? I think it might be natural in the following way. A Darwinian society might evolve homosexuality as a way to make sexual partners available to the male population when the female population is inherently less sexual. So go back to the 1950s and you've got women who are not, they don't have birth control available, and etc. They're not available for as much activity as the male population would like. So men go down to the bar, and there's a gay guy at the bar, and he takes care of guys. That could be like a pressure outlet on society or something like that. They might actually serve some sort of function like that. Darwinianly evolved. And societies that have them might be more stable because of that. Also, when homosexuality was frowned upon and maybe even illegal, gay men would have to get married, or might choose to get married, and they would have orderly, clean households and be very nice and friendly, and they might serve a function as model citizens in a different culture. Now we idolize them, so they wear nothing but cowboy chaps, and they go down in parades and celebrate how wonderful they are with their rainbows. But before, when they were ashamed of it and it was dangerous to be gay, they would have to hide, and they would have to run their household in the way that a gay person would run a household, which might be more orderly than an alpha male macho man. Just something to think about. Homosexuality might be a tiny detail at the edge of a stable society, like a little pressure valve. But either way, we do not hear this view that homosexuality is both not a choice and is simultaneously a mental illness. It may have been the old view. I think the old view was more like it is a choice and or a mental illness. But I think an objective view of it is that for some people, for the real gays, it's not a choice. They're born that way. And it is a deviation from normalcy. It's not stable long term. Homosexuals don't reproduce, so they are an aberration. And that doesn't mean that we have to judge them or make them illegal. It just means that we have to stop idolizing them as the best and the perfect and the most amazing. Alright, short video, eh? My view on homosexuality.